Welcome to another video in the Knowing Jesus series. We are focusing on the names the Bible uses to describe Jesus. We want to know Jesus. We come to the Gospel of Mark. The first verse makes clear Mark's declaration, his intention, his understanding, the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Throughout the rest of the gospel, we find that good news fleshed out. The name Jesus is used over 100 times in the Gospel of Mark, making it the most frequent way that Jesus is referred to in Mark's Gospel. While other Bible titles or descriptions are used, for example, Son of Man, Christ, Lord, the direct use of the name Jesus is the most common. In addition to the name Jesus, we find Mark using titles such as teacher or King of the Jews, Christ, Rabbi. The title Christ appears 12 times in the Gospel of Mark. Recall that Christ is the Greek version of the Hebrew Messiah. The meaning of that title is anointed or chosen one, but it became so closely associated with Jesus by the time the Gospel of Mark was written that it began to function as a proper name. The Gospel of Mark also uses the title Son of God, or an equivalent phrasing, 5 times to describe Jesus, beginning at his baptism. Chapter 1 and verse 1, of course, we've cited the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. At his baptism in chapter 1, verse 11, the voice from heaven describes Jesus as my Son, with whom I'm well pleased. That's repeated at the Transfiguration in chapter 9, verse 2. The voice from the cloud, this is my Son, whom I love, listen to him. In chapter 5, verse 11, the demons recognize Jesus as the Son of God. And the high priest, during his trial, asks Jesus directly, are you the Messiah, that is the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One? Obviously a reference to God, chapter 14, verse 61. What catches our attention in Mark's gospel most often is the use of the phrase Son of Man. That phrasing appears 14 times in the Gospel of Mark. What's interesting is that every time Jesus is using that phrase himself as a self-identifier. Jesus claims earthly authority to forgive sin, and he uses the title Son of Man. He claims authority over the Sabbath and uses also the title Son of Man, both of those occurrences in Mark 2. When Jesus speaks of his suffering, he describes the suffering of the Son of Man, chapter 8, chapter 9, also chapter 10, and toward the end of the book in chapter 14, as he's talking about the cross. As he speaks of his authority to judge when he returns, again, he uses the phrase, the description, Son of Man. In Mark's gospel, Jesus is also called King of the Jews. In Matthew's gospel, we encountered this phrasing early in Matthew's gospel, chapter 2. In Mark's gospel, we have to wait till the next to the last chapter, chapter 15. We have 5 times that Jesus is referred to as the King of the Jews. It is applied to Jesus in accusation, also by Pilate, by those who would mock Jesus in the inscription on the cross, and also as a taunt. Interesting that King of the Jews is usually used by non-believers and in a negative way. So what can we say as we briefly summarize what we've seen in Mark's gospel? Jesus Christ, Son of God. Jesus is the most common occurrence, but Son of Man is used 14 times. So here's our list of names, titles, descriptions. We add to the list that we made as we studied Matthew's gospel. We should note especially Rabbi, Teacher, King of the Jews. All of these we'll bring together as we come to the end of our survey of the 4 gospels. For now, we're making our list, trying to understand the answer to the question, who is Jesus? What does it mean for us to know Jesus? What is his name? Looking forward to studying with you in the 3rd video in the series, the Gospel of John. Until then, God bless.